Namaste everyone. A very warm welcome to all the participants in today's webinar. This is our 35th webinar in our talk series. A very special welcome to speaker Ms. Lavina Gidwani for making the time to be with us today. Before we introduce our speaker today, and for those who were not there earlier and have joined us today, Rtambhara is a collective of like-minded individuals that look at wellness in a holistic way. Not just the body, but the mind as well. And all through the practice of knowledge and wisdom that comes from our ancient Indian scriptures and heritage. We conduct corporate programs and retreats for wellness that looks at personal transformation and well-being, tapping into oneself to unlock our infinite potential. Presently, we are conducting these programs virtually, and our virtual corporate programs are uploaded on our website under rtambharawellness.com. Please do visit our website and go through the details of these programs. We also conduct webinars regularly on topics that delve into self-discovery, personal transformation, health, harmony, holistic well-being, as well as the arts, which help us connect with our higher self. All our talks are uploaded on YouTube under Rtambhara Wellness. If you would like to be a part of a community, the details of where you can connect with us are posted on the chat. Alternately, please post your contact details, cell number, email ID so that we can add you in our groups. So let's get on with today's program. Ms. Lavina, who will be talking to us on the splendor of wellness, happy and healthy now. Today's session will have 45 minutes of talk followed by 15 minutes of question and answer. A humble request to all of you to stay muted throughout the talk. Please feel free to post all your questions on the chat function, and Ms. Lavina will answer any question in the realm of well-being. May I call our Director of Operations, Mr. Rohan Nayak, to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Rashmi. Good evening, everyone. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Lavina Gidwani. Lavina is a spa and wellness industry global veteran with over 25 years of experience in startup ventures, health and nutrition consulting, and women's hormonal health. She is a corporate, personal health, and lifestyle coach. Her work has been widely published and acclaimed in Indian and international publications. Her mission is to help people lead healthier and happier lives. She will give us a preview on how to imbibe some key principles of healthy and happy living in our lives. Over to you, Lavina.
Thank you so much, Rohan, for that introduction. And I will straight away just dive into it, get into the screen sharing. But before which, I just want to say that I'm absolutely delighted to be here with all of you today at Rtambhara Wellness. And I'm looking forward to sharing a preview of my insights of the world of health and wellness with all of you. But first and foremost, I want to begin by thanking Beena. Beena, for inviting me here today. And like Beena just said, while few of you were here, she's known me when I was a baby. So I want to just say that I grew up looking at Beena, and I was always deeply impacted by a ever smiling face, her positive demeanor, and her utmost grace, which left this most profound impression on my life. So Beena, thank you for that. And I'm ready to start with my presentation. Okay, so now moving on to a slightly more nuanced introduction of who I am and with what credentials I address you here today. I've spent my maximum professional years in the spa industry as a consultant, helping investors set up many projects, spa and wellness projects globally. I certified myself in UK, trained in Thailand, and then worked at the Mecca of spa wisdom, the Shivasom Destination Spa and Health Resort in Hua Hin on the outskirts of Bangkok. I think the regular understanding of spa is by and large limited to soothing massages sometimes, right? But for those of you who are aware of the origin of the word, you will know that SPA is actually an acronym of a Latin phrase, salus per aquam, meaning hell through water. The term is derived from the name of the town Spa in Belgium back from the Roman days. Spas were actually supposed to be locations where mineral-rich spring water was used, and sometimes even seawater, which was believed to have medicinal properties to treat people. So even today, with a range of water therapies, many other complementary and alternative therapies, we offer this in spas so that guests have a truly, truly holistic experience. When I worked at Shivasom, I saw many a rich and famous, the top stars of Hollywood, who would come in for these soothing retreats. We gave them the best nutrition therapy, the best therapeutic water treatments, the most supremely meditative environment, and so much more. I always wondered, however, how long would this effect last? What would happen after a few weeks of going back to their routine? And we know the story, right? Our lives, the race catches up when we all return to our routines. Then after a year, if we have the time, we can take a much needed break to another haven for a 7 to 10 day recharge. But how can people sustain the effects for a long time? I thought about this a lot, and more so because of my past. So this is not any random throwback to Amsterdam memory that I'm sharing over here, although I wish I could go back to Amsterdam now. But I want to share my story. I grew up in a home where lifespans have been short. Most of my mom's 7 brothers were all dead in their 60s. Reason? Very poor genetic heart history. My mom in her 30s suffered severe mental depression, which led to physiological problems and heart disease, stroke, osteoporosis. At a very early age, my sister and I spent quite a part of our growing years in hospitals, waiting on tenterhooks, whether mom would recover and return. Hence, even as I progressed in the spa industry, I set up numerous projects. My quest was to help people with knowledge, with information, awareness, simple tips that they could proactively implement every day to conquer their health, well-being, and lifespans. This quest has brought me now to become an ageless lifestyle coach and a menopause expert. I support people to live each day healthfully, happily, and not just rely on a 7 to 10 day, once a year retreat for rejuvenation, as that alone is not a sustainable solution. And the proof of this, not theoretical, lies in my mom's life. She's now 86 years old with some of my expertise and loads of her willpower. She has beat her genetic legacy of short lifespans due to cardiovascular health. She has reversed weak bone and digestive health with the right exercise, with yoga, with good nutrition, and more. God bless her. Moving to the other end of short lifespans, let's now examine the area of longevity. Lives are getting inevitably long. Life expectancy for the world has changed. In Japan, the median age in 1950 was 22, and the average life expectancy was 60 years. In 2020, the median age is 47, and life expectancy is 84 years. And by 2050, the average lifespan in Japan would be 100 plus. Closer to home, in India, life expectancy has increased from under 40 years in 1950 to 70.4 years in 2020. World over, and this is a fact, population pyramids are being reshaped into rectangles. And in some parts of the world, they're actually assuming the shape of inverted pyramids. As you can see how starkly India's demographic pyramid is going to reshape in the next 30 years. As a result of these shifts, India, thus far a young country, will have as many 50, 60-year-olds as 0 to 10-year-olds in 2050. Is that good? Yes, in a way, I think it is, because you'll have more time to utilize your money, travel around the world, indulge yourself, enjoy time with your grandchildren, travel around the world, and do a lot of things that you could do for yourself. But long life won't be great if it is lived in poor health, something that will deplete your life savings, deplete the energy of caregivers around you, making us feel a burden on others. Longer and healthier lives also mean a longer time over which people can remain productive and support greater economic growth. So let us see how some people across the world are doing this. Okinawa, Japan has the longest life expectancy in the world, thanks to the region's healthy lifestyle. Similarly, there are 4 other blue zones. Blue zone is actually a non-scientific term, which is given to geographic regions that are home to the world's oldest and healthiest people. It was first used by Dan Buettner. For more than a decade, he traveled to identify hotspots of longevity around the world. With the help of the National Geographic Society, Buettner set out to locate places that not only had the highest concentration of people above 100 years of age, but also clusters of people who had grown old without health problems like heart disease, obesity, cancer, or diabetes. What he propounded was that genetics probably only account to 20 to 30% of longevity. Environmental influences, including diet and lifestyle, play a huge role in determining lifespan and how healthy you will be. Why are we speaking about this? Is this for us? I have seen a varied age range in this audience. Is this relevant for those of you who are 50 plus? Or maybe for someone who is in their early 30s or early 40s? I believe it is relevant for all of us. And here's why. Let's take a look at this health continuum. This illness-wellness continuum is a well-being concept which was first proposed by Dr. John Travis, a proponent of alternative medicine in 1972. As per this, moving from the center to the left shows progressively worsening state of health. Moving to the right of the center indicates increasing levels of health and well-being. A few key points that I want to talk about over here. I don't think not many of us, and I say that actually with certainty, not many of us can vouch to sit at the extreme right of this continuum, where you can say that you get up in the morning and you tell yourself that you're brimming with energy, vitality, and you want to take over the day and you want to take over the world. Close to 35% of the world actually sits on the left side of this continuum in disease. And it's 65% of us who are sitting in this middle space, often plagued by sub-health, what Dr. John referred to as false wellness. Why did he say that? Because we have conditioned ourselves to think of some symptoms as normal. And we have just perfected the art of accepting to live with them. Example, tension knots in the neck, food allergies, bloating and gas, insomnia, constant anxiety, migraine headaches. This is a state in which we pop a pill and move on. However, as per the ancient science of Ayurveda, the body gives us six signals before it goes into disease. And disease can take years, maybe even decades to manifest. The idea is to take early action that can move us to the right of this continuum towards optimal health so that we can go on to live longer lives that are independent, productive, happy, and healthy. And the good news is that a lot is within our control if we are proactive. Proactive in two areas. One, to simply master, to practice and master the art of listening to our body. And two, to take timely action. Mindful listening makes us acutely aware of symptoms in these key areas of our body. And we also understand how they are linked to each other. For example, the gut and the brain axis, which we have read about. It establishes an intense gut-brain connection. It can link anxiety to stomach problems and vice versa. Anger, anxiety, sadness, elation, all of these symptoms tend to trigger symptoms in your gut. Similarly, if you have a problem with your gut bacteria, the microbiome, it can impact your brain health. Now, talking about toxic fat, I call it toxic. It's called toxic because it causes major lifestyle diseases. And hence, one must be acutely aware of WHR, defined as your waist-hip ratio. You get this by dividing your waist circumference by your hip circumference. And here are the ideal numbers. The key is to make symptoms our allies and not to ignore them. It's important to appreciate, to understand that these symptoms are early signs of an underlying condition. They're signals. And the right lifestyle, the right diet, corrections can reverse these conditions before they cause major complications in our well-being. So now we move on to action. I will now like to give you a preview of how we can take charge of our everyday health and happiness in some very, very simple ways. I believe these 5 smart habits of healthy and happy people can help restore balance in the 5 key areas of brain health, hormonal health, gut health, toxic fat riddance, muscle and bone health, to help us achieve optimal well-being. Because the whole is a sum of many parts. Let us understand how. First, eat the right foods. These pictures are in New York, where I got a certification in food therapy from the Natural Gourmet Institute. I learned to cook food that is healthy, prevents and controls lifestyle diseases, and most importantly, that is delicious. I happily learned everything I knew about food. The four key lessons that I learned over there were: 1, food fats are unhealthy, quirky, and unsustainable. Point two, daily eating should include food groups that nurture your brain, your hormonal, your gut, your muscle and bone health, and keep toxic fat away. Three, weight management doesn't mean starving. It just means replacing wrong foods with the right foods. And finally, healthy foods can be delicious and lip smacking too. So let's look at some of the tips which I think really work to help us to eat right. The first and foremost is timing. Let's really eat only when we are hungry. Two, food groups, and all of them are important. You know, carbs are important because they give you energy. So think of whole grains, fruits, vegetables, lentils, extremely important. Protein. Protein gives you structure to your skin, to your muscle, besides other roles it plays for your body. Fat is concentrated fuel source. It builds cells. It protects your organs. It gives insulation to the body. You just need to replace the bad oils with the good oils. And you need to have a combination of all fats. Point number three, quantity, reduce food as day progresses. So I just completely believe in this philosophy of eat your breakfast like a king and dine like a pauper. Because you need to kickstart your metabolism with a good breakfast. Have a moderate lunch, and then move on to have a very light dinner, ideally by 7 p.m. And if you're trying to lose a few kilos, I have this signature bowl that I make of freshly chopped, seasonal fruits. I throw in some nuts, some organic honey, and some homemade yogurt. It's absolutely delicious. It's absolutely wholesome. You can have that 2 to 3 times a week. Thoda kam. Wean our palate bit by bit. I don't know if you have seen this, but there's this very interesting, very compelling campaign actually, which has got Rajkumar Rao as the endorser. It's made by the, the Health Ministry through the Food Standards Authority of India, FSSAI. It's called Thoda Kam. It's simply about wearing our palate bit by bit every day. Each day, a little less than what we did yesterday. A little less salt, a little less fat, a little less sugar. It's not about stopping, but reducing in a way so that it's not deprivation for the tongue. Can we try that? Mid-meal snacks, choose wisely. I think more often than not, we get very hungry between meals. But choose wisely. It could be a bowl full of puffed rice. It could be some nuts. It could be carrot and cucumber sticks with some hummus. Healthy to have your mid-meal snack so that you really don't overeat at your next meal. Hara Hachibu, sorry, Secret of Longevity, which I also saw when I was in Japan personally. It's a beautiful phrase which actually originated in one of the blue zones, Okinawa, that we talked about. And it means stop eating when you're 80% full. But how will you know when you're 80% full, right? That happens when you eat mindfully. Chew your food and make sure that you're not 80%, you're not more than 80% full. This allows the stomach to perform the digestive function. Think about a mixer grinder. If you have to churn some ingredients, you can't fill it up right to the top, yeah? You need to have little space because it's not going to churn it well. Similarly, you need to leave that little space. And this cultural practice of calorie restriction and mindful eating is also the reason why Okinawa in Japan has the highest percentage of healthy centenarians than anywhere else in the world. And finally, reward. Give yourself occasional treats. I completely believe in that. Friday evenings, starting today, today is Friday. Friday evenings, Saturday evenings, treat yourself. Have something which you really like. Deprivation actually accentuates cravings. So give yourself that periodic treat. It's important. Moving on to why movement, why exercise is so important. You can see some statistics which are there on the slide. Sitting accelerates aging. People in the blue zones are living longer and are disease-free because of movement. And I think we all know that sedentary lifestyle increases our risk of lifestyle diseases. Issues of feeling fit and fabulous completely aside, sitting triggers a cascade of unwelcome outcomes. Faster bone and muscle decline, posture-related issues, poor circulation, etc. What can we do? I love this fitness pyramid. Might seem a little complicated if you just see it right now, but if you actually glance through it, it's really easy. And it's based on 3 very, very simple principles. The first one is consistency. Move every day, even if it's for a minimum of 30 minutes. It takes 21 days to make a habit. And if you do it for 21 days consistently, believe you me, you're just going to not want to miss a day. Variety. Movement that works on all critical aspects of your body. And the most importantly, what it can do is it'll alleviate boredom. You need cardio, you need endurance. Of course, if you have heart issues, you should avoid that. But taking the heart rate up is great for your heart health. How about some cycling, some fast walking? Weights and resistance training for muscle and bone health, because cardio itself is not enough. And remember, after the age 30, both in men and women, we tend to lose 3 to 5% of muscle every decade. In men, it's almost 30% over their lifetime. And women, 10 years after menopause, they lose up to 40% of their spongy inner bone and 10% of their outer bone. And it's really not, this concept or this mindset that we have that resistance and strength training is only for bodybuilders or great gymmers. All of us need that, and especially women. You need to mix all of this with your yoga, Pilates every day for your flexibility and all-round fitness. And in particular, for women who shy away from going to gyms, I'm going to give you a very simple tip. These water bottles, which we keep it at home. As simple as that, 1 liter bottles. That's all you need to do. Sit in front of the television and just do some weights. That's how simple it is. Resistance training. I'm sure everybody is familiar with this TheraBand. Extremely, extremely important to invest in this. As simple as this. That's all it needs. That's all it needs for you to work your muscle. You don't need to go to the gym. 15 to 20 minutes of this is extremely important and extremely beneficial. And third, we talked about why you need to be consistent, you need to have variety, but the third, most important, there needs to be moderation. You should rest your body when you need it and never overwork your body, because that is also going to have negative effects. I move on now to sleep. Sleep to shampoo your brain. We will come to why. So a lot has been said about the importance of sleep and why 7 to 8.5 hours is extremely important for all of us. But I believe more, or I would say as important as the quantity of sleep is also the quality of sleep. And the quality of sleep is deeply impacted by what you eat, what you drink close to your meal times, what you watch, or what are you working on, how much cognitive work that's involved before you go to bed. Following very simple sleep rituals that are consistent in preparing for sleep can make a monumental difference in the quality of your sleep. The right bedtime, number of hours, quality of sleep, it all works like brain shampoo, according to Dr. Sarah Gottfried. I just love that. So what actually happens is that when you sleep, the area between our brain cells expands by 60%. So you have the cerebral spinal fluid, which is actually flowing into the brain and shampooing your brain, cleansing it of all the toxins. So think of it as this very essential sleep shampoo, or think of sleep as this magical housekeeper who restores your house and, to this beautiful shining state while you're away. That's how important sleep is. A few sleep tips that I can offer here is that I was talking to Rohan before this, and we talked about how it's so important to keep away from bright lights in the evening. We call that Alan. He's not the best boyfriend or the girlfriend to have. It's the artificial light at night. Avoid as much as you can. Screens and Alan. I talked about avoiding stimulants, coffee, alcohol, or doing cognitive work. Avoid anxious people. I know this is the time of COVID. We are connecting with a lot of people. But sometimes when you connect with people who really sap you of your energy and who really drain you, it can impact your sleep. A mini savasana. I think it's very beneficial. Just lie down in your bed. We all practice yoga in India, and just breathe easy. Just manifest this deep state of relaxation right from your head to your toes. It's amazing to get a good night's sleep. Moving on. Release blocked emotions. What is that? Everything on the physical plane is a manifestation of something on a metaphysical plane. And I'm sure all of you would agree, especially the audience here. According to author Louisa Hay, physical symptoms are merely tangible evidence of what is going on in your subconscious mind and how you are really feeling deep inside. Our body is a map of every experience that we have had. So as we bridge the mind, body, and spirit, we can better understand the connection between trapped emotions and physical ailments that are causing us suffering. But more often than not, we don't acknowledge these emotions. We can go years and even decades without realizing that we have trapped emotions or where they stem from. And the body actually naturally tries to combat this by working towards equilibrium, natural balance. But more often than not, the balance tips in favor of excess wear and tear rather than growth and repair. This leads to chronically restricted and tight pathways in your body. Stiff joints, muscles. We wind up holding on to a lot of blocked energy, and this manifests as pain. This chronic anxiety, anger, grief tends to get stored within the body, resulting in muscle tension. And if it's not released, it can contribute to numerous serious ailments. What you see on the left is a very interesting study that was done by Finnish researchers across 708 participants. What they found was how emotions are actually stored in the body. So the participants were shown two silhouettes of bodies alongside stimuli of emotional words, stories, movies, or facial expressions. And then they were asked to color the bodily regions whose activity they felt increasing or decreasing as reacting to the stimulus. And shades of red, yellow for increased feelings or powerful feelings, and black and blue for decreased feelings. For example, if they felt anger, if they looked at something, it would be more here on the top with red and yellow. But if they felt nothing, if they were numb or they felt depressed, blue, black. So what you can see is that the mapping exercise proved to be very interesting. It showed that actually different emotions impact different parts of the body. Sadness, depression, shame towards the extremities and limbs, anger, fear towards the navel, gut and brain areas, and anger also towards the limbs, so probably that's the reason when you're feeling angry, you want to punch somebody, you know. Now, this is what we need to understand, we need to resolve. Because if we don't do that, these emotions have the potential to impact our internal organs and block our pathways, the pathway of energy. Moving on, how do we do that? We practice self-compassion mindfulness. Now, what is that? All of us practice some form of meditation or the other, but there are established and proven meditation techniques where you can take your attention from your breath to your head and then systematically to the extremities of your body, to your back, so that you actually communicate with every part of your body mindfully. You mindfully tune into what emotions, what sensations you're feeling in those parts of the body. You breathe into those parts of your body that are calling for attention, listening to what those parts are actually trying to tell you. What do they want? Is there anger? Is there hatred? And you send compassion. You send compassion with your thoughts. This is a very, very powerful way of cleansing and releasing blocked emotions. Positive affirmation tapping. This is simple. All of us can do that every day. It's like just tapping your body and saying, every cell in my body is happy and healthy. Every cell in my body is happy and healthy. Affirmations. Actually sending that energy to every cell of your body. Yoga is, of course, extremely important. Deep tissue massage is a great way of releasing those blocked, energy spots in your body. And a very simple thing which I actually practice, I don't know if all of you are familiar with something like this. I think we've seen this. Also something really nice which you can probably use on your back, on areas of your body which you're feeling pain. Put on some beautiful calming music and use this. It can really be helpful. But let's not let the energy be trapped, because it's just going to affect the flow of prana in your body, and that we don't want. And then we come to soothe away stress. Not all stress is bad, guys. There is also good stress, which is actually called eustress, which helps us achieve and which helps us perform. Problem is that when stress gets excessive, it disrupts every function of our body. And I understand this very well. I saw it happen to my mom. Cortisol, that stress hormone, can play havoc with every part of your body if it is very high. Hence, the key is in our response, mindfully responding, learning to listen to our bodies and take action to soothe away stress before it takes us down. How do we do that? So vagus, unlike the other vagus, what happens in this vagus doesn't stay there. The vagus nerve is one of the 12 cranial nerves which sprawl from the brain into the body like this intricate network of roots. Why am I talking about this right now? Because experts are now linking changes in symptoms linked to migraine, headaches, gut health, and many other common ailments. They're linking it to the activity of the vagal nerve. In simple terms, there's a lot of growing scientific evidence that heightened vagal activity can modulate the stress response. In other words, It helps us to respond to stress with more calm versus this typical flight of flight response that we have. There are medical ways this is done, but what is also now found is that there are natural ways in which the vagal activity can help you, and we can do it ourselves. So one of the ways is to do it is your slow rhythmic diaphragm breathing, because it directly impacts the vagus nerve. Singing, whoever likes to sing on top of your voice, because it increases the heart rate variability and works on the muscles on back of your throat that is connected to the vagus nerve. So it really is really nice to calm your stress response. Om chanting. Om has got the same effect. It calms the vagal nerve. Research also shows that just thinking about your loved ones and sending them a lot of loving kindness in your thoughts has the power to tone and strengthen the vagus nerve. So let's start thinking positive and sending a lot of energy to all our friends and family across the world in this time of the pandemic. We're helping ourselves too. Drinking ice cold water and dunking your head in ice cold water also stimulates the muscles of the palate, which are fired by the vagus nerve. Very, very helpful. And then reflexology on your feet is a great way of resetting the vagal tone and giving you the sense of peace and calm. So these are the 5 areas that we spoke about. I call them the 5 habits for health and happiness. Eat the right foods. Move to defy aging. Sleep to shampoo your brain. Release blocked emotions. Soothe away stress. Each day, be consistent. Self-love. Each day, cultivate these 5 habits. Sprinkle them with lots of joy, lots of love, lots of compassion, and enjoy lifelong equity of health, happiness, and abundance. Finally, I leave you with a quote from His Holiness, who I had the good fortune of meeting in 2017. As you can see what he says, it is all about being in the now. A man sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies, never having really lived. One of the greatest lessons I learned from His Holiness: nothing is more powerful than now. Thank you, everyone. That was my little message on how you can be happy and healthy in the now with just these 5 habits.
Thank you so much, Lavina ji. We are now